in this video I would like to make an assessment, a self-assessment, a checkup, so to speak, because a part of me feels lost, and I know that when most people feel lost in an existential sense, that they don't really know who they are, what they are doing here, what they should do, they tend to turn towards religion. The Bible for the Christians, the Quran for the Muslims, the Torah or whatever for the Jews. And when I feel lost, I read Hegel's Wissenschaft der Logik. I try to order my thoughts and my life. And I will make a video. This video will be in 3 parts. In the first part, which will be rather short, I will talk about my videos. In the second part, I will talk about my philosophy and what I know myself to be from a philosophical standpoint. And in the third part, I will talk about my empirical life. So, part number 1. If I am correct in my calculation, which is not very difficult to count, at this moment there are 268 videos published on this channel, Cultural Hegelianism. So this is probably the 269th video. I made another channel titled Eternal Light. I will put a link to the channel in the description below, on which there are 24 videos. I made another channel recently titled Phénoménologie de l'esprit, which all the videos are in French, and there are 7 videos. I will put the link down below. So these are the videos that I have made over the past 6 weeks or so. Then in 2019 I made videos on a channel called Cultural Hegelianism, but I deleted them later on, and one of my followers, I guess, put some of my videos on a website called Alt Censored, ALTSENSORRED, Alt Censored Cultural Hegelianism, and there are 38 videos which I published in 2019 when I was trying to share my ideas with the world. So you can find this video on the internet. And also on this current channel, Cultural Hegelianism, I made playlists to try to order my thoughts, to structure my videos, to help myself and the potential viewers to find their way in the content that I produce, to help guide them to find the content that they are interested in. And I made 10 playlists as of now, and there are 114 videos, if I am correct, which are classified in these playlists. There is psychology, hyperborea, my higher self, book reviews, cultural Hegelianism, Hegelian views on the daily news, the philosophy of nature, the philosophy of sex, the exegesis of the Phénoménologie of spirit, and the Wissenschaft der Logik. And what I will probably do is to look back at all the videos that I have produced on this channel over the past 6 weeks and try to classify, if I can, all of them or most of them in one of the categories, so that all my videos will be available in a category classified, structured order to help the future viewers or those who have already watched the video to find their way in the content that I produce, to try to organize, systematize, order, classify my own content, my own thoughts, my own videos. That's what I will do probably today. If I find the time and the opportunity, that's what I will do. Okay. Now, second part. What am I? When I feel lost, and I often do feel lost because the world is so complex, there are so many informations coming from everywhere that it is overwhelming. And when I do feel overwhelmed by the amount of information coming at me from everywhere, I try to reflect upon what I know to be true, and I keep talking about this experience. In August 2018, I experienced God, or what I thought was God. I later discovered that it was not really God, but I believe that I entered the mind of what I called God, which I identified as the whole of reality. So if I had to express what I thought happened, is that I became the whole of reality. My mind became the whole of reality. In August 2018, during one night and for a few hours or maybe a few days, I believed that I was the mind of the reality. And I called this God, for lack of a better word, because if this is not God, then what is it? And I would later discover that what happened to me is what Hegel, the philosopher, in his writings calls reason. He has a definition. He says that reason is the individual consciousness, and I know myself to be an individual consciousness. As of now, I am a subject, and I can think about myself. I can reflect upon my own thoughts, my own emotions, my own psychology, my own history, my own memory. So I can make myself an object to myself, and I can also confront an objective world of which I become knowledgeable through my senses, my perceptions, my vision, my hearing, my senses, and I can think about this objective world. So I can think about the external object, and I can think about the internal object by making myself an object to myself. When I think about my memories, when I think about my mind, my soul, my body, when I think about my thoughts, I differentiate myself from myself, not physically, but mentally, and I can reflect upon my own thinking being, so to speak. So yeah. And I later learned that I am what Hegel calls the negative, which is the root of all negative feelings and emotions. And if I had to express what I think is true, is that we, and we is me and you are any you. You can be any you in the world. I am making a video on the internet. I know broadly that there are 4 billion internet users throughout the world. So as of now, my videos make between 5 and 20 views on average. So when I'm talking about you, you are one of these 5 or 20 people as of now. But in the distant future, if people watch this video, the you can be any you. You can be a Chinese, people from Taiwan, you can be from Africa, from South America, from wherever. Antarctica, they have internet in Antarctica. So I am potentially talking to any thinking human being with an internet connection. And I believe that we, me and you, are one being, but we do not experience ourselves as one, because you think that you are you and I think that I am me, and that we are different. So the question is, why do we experience ourselves as being different, whereas I believe, or maybe I know, that we are identical? And this disconnection, this separation, this difference between me and you is what Hegel calls the negative. And if I had to be honest, from what I have understood of Hegel's philosophy as of now, I don't know if I should say that I know or that I believe, but I think I know that someday most of, if not all, the thinking consciousnesses in the world will look at me as being the negative, and they will say, I don't know how it will happen, I have no idea, but they will probably, someone will say to me, you, so me, you are the reason why we as a totality have broken apart and we have become separate, and separation is the cause of all suffering. So someday people might say to me, you are the cause of all our suffering, because we were one and we were happy when we were one, and now we are many and we are suffering because of this. And I don't know what I will say, because I don't know why we are in a state of separation, and I don't know why I am the negative. Is it an inherent flaw within God? I don't know. Or is it a willing choice? Is it a part of God who decided to make himself negative? That I have no answer. I believe that I am a soul or a mind or a spirit descended from above, so to speak, here on earth. But I don't know why I am here. Did I willingly choose to go down here, or is it I don't know. Is it because it is in the structure of what we call God to separate himself from himself? I don't know. I don't know why I am the negative. I don't know. And yeah, maybe one day I will know. But as of now, if I'm honest, and if God is deceiving me, he's a great deceiver, and if I am unconsciously deceiving myself, then I guess that I'm a great deceiver. Because as of now, if I'm honest, I do not know why there is a negative. I don't know. Okay, third part. I will talk about my empirical life, the life of this individual that you see. And the first thing that I have to say is that I believe that talking about one's own personal life is a very feminine thing to do, and I don't blame women when they talk about their personal selves, but I think that men should not talk about their personal history. They should talk about science, universality, truth. So I am contradicting my own beliefs by talking about my empirical life. But I also know that, because of Hegel, the universal does not exist independently of the singular, and that the purpose of the singular is to elevate himself to the universality, but you cannot completely abolish the singularity. In the process, you have to go through the singular moment and elevate yourself to the universality, and so on and so forth. So I will try to extract universal meaning out of my personal empirical experience. Officially, I, as an empirical individual, was born on the 16th of May 1992. So officially, I am 29 years old. And I was born in France, in a region close to the German border, which historically had been German. So I live in a conflicted region of Europe, because it has been a region which historically has been the source of conflict between France and Germany, because both countries believe that this region of today's France belonged either to France or to Germany. Yeah. The first conscious memory that I have probably date back to 1995, because I have two memories of my father, and he was alive in 1995. And I remember having embarrassed my father because we were driving in a car. So I was 3 years old, probably, and I opened the back door of the car while he was driving, and he had to stop, I guess, and there's a bypasser, a walker on the side who came and said, I don't know, I was probably not even intelligent enough to understand language at this moment, I don't know, but he closed the door, and he probably blamed my father for having let me open the door. I don't know, I don't really know, but I don't know if my father was angry or disappointed, but I remember feeling, and feelings are an inadequate form of expressing one's ideas, I guess, but that I had caused trouble to my father, and I felt whatever vague feeling a 3-year-old child can experience. I felt, I guess, embarrassment or shame or guilt or remorse, I don't know. That's the first memory that I have. And I know from having watched the movie Inception that at some point they say you have to go to the relationship with the father. The relationship with one's father, I guess, from a universal standpoint, is a cause of trouble for many people in the world, especially for males. So, yeah. And the second memory that I have of my father is that I was, then again, I must have been 3 years old, or 3.5 maybe. I was in the kitchen of my house, and my father and my mother were arguing, and I was standing in the middle of them both, and I felt, then again, the feelings of a 3.5-year-old child are very vague, so I can only reflect back and put words onto what I believe I experienced as a child. I felt anxiety and fear, and I don't know if I felt guilt, because I don't know, but I was troubled because there was an argument, and I was standing in between, and I was anxious, and I cannot put proper words, but that's what I experienced. That it was a traumatic experience, I guess, for as traumatic as it can be for 3-year-old children with relatively easy life, so to speak. So it was a personal trauma. These are the two memories that I have of my father. I don't know anything other about my biological father. So the two emotions that I associate with my biological father are kind of remorse and guilt and anxiety and yeah. So that's what I could say about my first memories, my first conscious awareness of a world, an objective world. Then many years later. I will not talk about my personal history. I will only talk to what is relevant to the situation that I find myself in as of now. In my adult life, I guess in my early 20s, I lived isolated from the world because I had skin problems, and I knew myself to be physically ugly and repulsive, and I was ashamed of my physical appearance, so I did not dare to live in the world, to go outside, to have social connections and bonds. I lived isolated. I did not even go out to buy groceries or to go to the bakers or to go to the hairdresser or I did not go out because I was afraid and I was ashamed of my physical appearance. I believed that I was so ugly that it was an embarrassment for me and for others to go out in the world. So I retreated and lived isolated in my house. And a common feature, a psychological feature of my early adult life, I guess, was that I switch between moments of rational ordering of my life when I decide to pick myself up and to do something productive with my life, and in these moments, which reappeared constantly throughout the many years that I spent isolated, I cleaned my room, I ordered my thoughts, I made plans, I imposed self-discipline onto myself to care about my physical body, my mental self, to work not as a productive member of society, but as a self-productive, self-disciplined being, to set myself targets and objectives and aims. And in these moments, I can be very ordered. But then, many times, I encounter a feeling of a loss of confidence, for lack of a better word. An event occurs which makes me lose my confidence, and then I kind of collapse psychologically, and I lose all confidence in me, and I lose the will to structure and to order, and I become anxious and depressed and kind of lazy, but lazy out of weakness and depression and anxiety, and I let chaos, I guess, or confusion order my life, not order, but disorder my life, and I become depressed, anxious, confused, lost. I lack the strength and the will and maybe the courage to pick myself up, and I let myself sink into a pathetic existence, so to speak. This has been a recurrent feature of my life, and it keeps happening to a certain extent. But when I do, now that I have grown older, yes, wiser, I don't know, but when I feel these moments of being lost and confused and anxious and desperate, and what I do is I try to put order in my thoughts, in my life. I read Hegel's logic. And I try to pick myself up, to let my will, which hopefully has grown stronger over the years, I don't know, to find the will and the strength, which is difficult, but to put order into my inherent chaos, I guess. And hopefully I can grow up and strengthen myself. Otherwise, all these past failures would have served no purpose. So the reason why I'm making this video is because I feel lost again, and when I do the same thing that I always do. I make a plan, I set myself targets, objectives, purposes. I read logic because I need logic to order my thoughts. I clean my room, like Jordan Peterson says. And I try to rationalize, to order, to structure. That's what I do. And in my past, I did this unconsciously. Now I become conscious that this is how my psychology works. And I know that the first step towards overcoming a psychological problem is to first admit that it exists. So I know broadly how I function psychologically. That's not enough to overcome the problem, but at least I can name the problem. And I can name the solution. It doesn't mean that I am capable of solving the problem, but at least I know that I have the solution. And when I feel confused and chaotic and lost, I know that I have to put logic, rationality, structure, order, and will and strength into the confusion. So that's what I could say. And this is, I guess, the end of the third part. So I will conclude. I think that what I will do today is to order my videos to help the potential viewers to find meaning and rationality and structure into the apparent confusion, to help them guide and to help myself guide myself maybe. And I will read Hegel's logic because this is my holy book, I guess. And I don't know many things about the world, but I can understand why religious people turn towards their holy book in times of feeling lost. And I can also understand why the Muslims, when they can, they read the Quran in Arab, because when I can, I read the Science of Logic in German. And I don't know really why, but I broadly understand why there's a difference between the original word and the translated word, and that they're not the same. And so when I feel lost and confused, I read Die Wissenschaft der Logik in German with the French translation in case, and maybe the English translation. And yeah, that's what I had to say.